The alarm echoed through the monitoring station at the edge of Imperial space. Young Taemin looked up from his desk, his heart racing. For 3 years, he had worked as a human diplomat for the Kaltheran Empire, and nothing exciting ever happened at this remote outpost. What is that noise? He asked the Kaltheran officer beside him. The alien's 4 eyes widened in surprise. It's a distress signal. An old one. Very old. Taemin moved closer to the screen. The signal pattern looked familiar, but it couldn't be real. That's a human signal, he whispered. Impossible, the officer said. Check the date code. Taemin's hands shook as he typed commands into the computer. The date appeared on the screen, and his breath caught in his throat. 300 years old. The signal came from the HSS Wandering Star, the legendary colony ship that vanished into the void sector before the Empire even existed. It must be a mistake, the Kaltheran officer said. Or someone playing a trick. But Taemin knew better. This was real. Somewhere out there, the lost ship was calling for help. Within hours, the news reached the Imperial High Command. The Kaltherans didn't believe it at first. They sent scan ships to investigate, expecting to find nothing. Instead, they found everything. The wandering star materialized at the edge of the void sector like a ghost returning from the dead. Its hull was scarred and darkened by centuries in space, but the ship was whole. It was alive. Admiral Vexter commanded the Imperial escort fleet that surrounded the human ship. He was a veteran of 50 battles, and he trusted nothing he couldn't explain. A ship disappearing for 3 centuries and returning intact made no sense. Send a team aboard, he ordered, and bring the human diplomat. If anyone can talk to these ghosts, it's him. Taemin felt his stomach twist with nervousness as the shuttle carried him toward the Wandering Star. He had studied the lost colony ships in school. Every human child knew the story. 20 ships had left Earth to find new worlds. 15 returned. 5 vanished, including the Wandering Star. That was 300 years ago. The airlock hissed open, and Taemin stepped inside. The air smelled clean, not stale like he expected. The lights worked. The gravity felt normal. Everything about this ship seemed wrong for something so old. A man waited in the corridor. He looked about 45 years old, with gray streaks in his black hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. He wore a captain's uniform that was ancient in design, but looked brand new. "Welcome aboard," the man said in perfect Korean. "I'm Captain Dae-sung. I've been waiting a long time to come home." Taemin bowed respectfully, still trying to process what he was seeing. "Captain, how is this possible? You should be, everyone should be, dead." Dae-sung smiled sadly. "Yes, we should be. But we found something out there in the void. Something that changed everything." The captain led Taemin through the ship. Crew members worked at their stations, healthy and alert. They looked like people, not ancient ghosts. Dr. Hai-won, the ship's chief scientist, greeted them in the medical bay. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a careful smile. "You're wondering how we survived," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Taemin admitted. "And why you came back now?" Dae-sung and Hae-won exchanged a look. The captain's expression grew serious. "Because the Empire needs to know the truth. About what's out there. About what they've been hiding." "Hiding?" Taemin felt confused. "The Empire hasn't hidden anything from us, hasn't it?" Hae-won walked to a console and pressed several buttons. Images appeared on the screen. Star maps, plans, technology that looked nothing like Imperial designs. The Kaltherans found something 500 years ago. Something they never shared with other species. They used it to build their empire, and they made sure no one else could find it. Taemin stared at the screens, his mind racing. What did they find? We call them the progenitors, Daesung explained. An ancient race that built a network across the galaxy. Technology that makes Imperial ships look like toys. The Caltherans discovered it first and locked everyone else out. That's a serious accusation, Taemin said carefully. Do you have proof? More than you can imagine, Haewon replied. We spent 3 centuries exploring the progenitor network. We mapped it. We learned to use it. And we discovered that the Empire has been lying to every species they control. Admiral Vexter arrived on the ship an hour later with a full security team. His scales rippled with barely controlled anger as he listened to Daesung's story. These are dangerous claims, the Admiral said. Claims that could destabilize the entire Empire. The truth usually does that to houses built on lies, Daesung responded calmly. Vexter's eyes narrowed. I'm placing this ship under quarantine. No one leaves. No one communicates with the outside. You will present your so-called evidence to the Imperial Council, and they will decide what happens next. I expected nothing less, Daesung said. But I have one condition. When I speak to the Council, I want every human representative present. Every governor, every diplomat, every leader. They all need to hear this. The Admiral considered this for a long moment. Agreed. But until then, you stay here. As Vexter left the ship, Taemin lingered behind. Captain, can I ask you something? Of course. In the cargo hold, I saw stasis pods. Hundreds of them. Who's in there? Daesung's tired eyes grew even sadder. Our colonists. The people we were supposed to deliver to a new world. They've been asleep for 300 years, dreaming of a fresh start. Now, they'll wake up in an empire that treats humans as second-class citizens. They'll wake up to a galaxy that isn't what we promised them. Maybe it can change, Taemin said hopefully. Maybe, Daesung agreed. That's why we came back. Not to start a war. Not to seek revenge. But to give everyone a chance at the truth. A chance at something better. Taemin returned to his shuttle with more questions than answers. As the small ship carried him away from the wandering star, he looked back at the ancient colony ship floating in space. It seemed impossible that this vessel held secrets that could shake the entire empire. But deep inside, he knew the captain was telling the truth. And the truth, once released, could never be taken back. The galaxy was about to change forever. The imperial capital world of Nexus Prime gleamed like a jewel against the darkness of space. Governor Sangwoo stood at the window of his office, watching transport ships move between the massive towers. He had worked his entire life to reach this position, the highest rank any human had achieved in the Empire. Now that position felt like a cage. They're asking questions, his aide said nervously. Humans across the planet want to know what the wandering star found. Sangwoo turned from the window. Tell them to be patient. The council will reveal everything in time. But he didn't believe his own words. The Empire never revealed anything unless forced. Across the city, in the cramped apartments of the human district, Jiwoo gathered her resistance cell in a hidden basement. She was young, barely 30, but her eyes burned with the fire of someone twice her age. This is our moment, she told the group. The Wandering Star crew knows something. Something big enough to scare the Empire. How do you know? Someone asked. G-Woo held up a datapad. Because I intercepted Imperial military communications. They're planning to destroy that ship before it reaches Nexus Prime. Angry murmurs filled the room. Jiwoo raised her hand for silence. We can't let that happen. We need to get word to Governor Sangwoo. He may work for the Empire, but he's still human. He'll help us. The council chamber was enormous, designed to make visitors feel small and insignificant. Captain Daesung didn't seem impressed as he walked to the center of the room. Dr. Haewon and the ship's chief engineer. Hyan Woo, followed close behind. Tae-min sat in the human section, his hands gripping the armrest. Governor Sang-woo sat beside him, his face carefully neutral. Emperor Caltharin himself presided over the gathering, his massive form dominating the high throne. Captain Daesung, you have made serious claims about this empire. Present your evidence. Daesung nodded to Dr. Hae-won. She activated a holographic display that filled the chamber with images. 300 years ago, the wandering star entered the void sector, she began. We expected to find empty space. Instead, we found the progenitor network. The images showed massive structures floating in space, covered in strange symbols and glowing with inner light. The progenitors were an ancient race, Hae-won continued. They built a faster-than-light network connecting thousands of systems. This network still works. We used it. We traveled further in weeks than Imperial ships can go in years. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Hae-won pressed on. We found records, data banks left by the progenitors. And we found proof that the Caltharin Empire discovered this network 500 years ago. The murmurs turned to shouts. Emperor Caltharin raised his hand, demanding silence. These are lies, Admiral Vextar declared, rising from his seat. Desperate lies from a desperate species. Daesung's voice cut through the noise. Then explain this. Hyan-woo activated another display. This one showed Caltharin ships, centuries old, docked at progenitor stations. The date stamps were clear and undeniable. You found the network first, Daesung said, looking directly at the Emperor. You learned to use it. And then you hid it from everyone else. You told the galaxy that faster-than-light travel was limited, that habitable worlds were rare, that expansion was impossible. All lies. Why would we do such a thing? The Emperor demanded. Control, Hae-won answered. If other species learned the truth, they wouldn't need the Empire. They could explore on their own, build their own civilizations. You kept everyone dependent on Caltharin technology because it kept you in power. Governor Sang-woo felt his world crumbling. He had believed in the Empire, trusted it, served it faithfully. Now he was looking at proof that everything he knew was built on deception. Daesung continued his presentation. We spent 300 years in the void sector. We didn't just survive. We thrived. We found 10,000 habitable worlds that the Empire claimed didn't exist. We mapped the entire progenitor network, and we learned to use their technology. That's why you didn't age, Taemin whispered, understanding dawning. Yes, Hae-won confirmed. Progenitor stasis technology. It kept our bodies young while our minds explored the galaxy. Every human in those cargo pods will wake up healthy and whole. The Emperor's voice turned cold. You have stolen technology that doesn't belong to you. Technology that could be dangerous in the wrong hands. Like yours? Daesung challenged. You've been sitting on an arsenal of progenitor weapons. Devices that could crack planets. Yet you lecture us about danger? The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives from different species started shouting questions. How much had the Empire hidden from them? What else didn't they know? Ji-woo burst into Governor Sang-woo's office 3 hours later. Guards tried to stop her, but she pushed past them. Governor, we intercepted a military order. The Empire plans to arrest the Wandering Star crew tonight. They're going to destroy the evidence and claim it was all a hoax. Sang-woo stared at the young woman. He should arrest her for breaking into his office. Instead, he found himself asking, Are you sure? Completely sure. Ji-woo showed him her datapad. Sang-woo read the orders. His hands began to shake. For 30 years, he had served the Empire without question. Now he had to choose between loyalty and truth. We have to warn them, he said finally. Ji-woo smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. That night, Captain Daesung made a decision that would change everything. He accessed the Imperial Communication Network and broadcast a message across every planet, every ship, every station. My name is Captain Daesung of the HSS Wandering Star. The Empire has ordered my crew's arrest for speaking the truth. They want to silence us before you can learn what they've hidden. But I have one more secret to share. He paused, letting the tension build. Humanity didn't just survive in the void sector. We didn't just find the progenitor network. We colonized 30 worlds. We built cities. We raised families. The human population isn't in the thousands as the Empire told you. It's in the billions. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. And the wandering star isn't alone. We send messages through the progenitor network. Messages calling our people home. They're coming. An entire fleet of human ships, bringing proof of everything I've told you. They'll arrive in 7 days. Daesung looked directly into the camera. The Empire can arrest me. They can destroy this ship. But they can't stop what's coming. The truth is coming home, and no force in the galaxy can prevent it. The broadcast ended. Across Nexus Prime, humans flooded into the streets. Some cheered. Some cried. All of them felt hope for the first time in generations. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Caltheron stared at the blank screen where Daesung's face had been. His advisors shouted recommendations, demanding action, calling for a military response. But the Emperor knew the truth. The old order was ending. The only question was whether it would end peacefully or in fire. Governor Sang-woo made his choice that night. He accessed the Imperial data banks and copied everything he could find. Evidence of suppression. Records of hidden technology. Proof of systematic sabotage of human development. When the Imperial Guards came to arrest him for treason, they found his office empty. Sang-woo had joined the resistance, bringing with him secrets that would shake the Empire to its core. The 7-day countdown had begun. The Empire struck back with fury. Within hours of Daesung's broadcast, Imperial troops surrounded the human district on Nexus Prime. Across a dozen worlds, human settlements faced lockdowns and curfews. The message was clear: speak the truth and pay the price. But the truth refused to stay silent. Ki-Tae was 87 years old, too old to run from Imperial soldiers. He sat in his small apartment, surrounded by ancient books and data storage devices. For 60 years, he had worked as a historian, secretly preserving the real story of humanity's first contact with the Empire. Now, finally, his time had come. He uploaded everything to the Galactic Network. Thousands of documents. Recorded testimonies from the earliest human diplomats. Evidence of how the Empire had systematically limited human technology, education, and expansion. The files spread like wildfire across every planet. When the soldiers kicked down his door, Ki-Tae was smiling. Too late, he said simply. The whole galaxy is reading it now. Aboard the Wandering Star, Commander Nari watched the Imperial fleet approach. 30 warships had surrounded them, weapons charged and ready. Admiral Vexter's face appeared on the communication screen. Captain Daesung, you are ordered to surrender your ship immediately. Resist, and we will open fire. Nari was younger than Daesung, barely 40, but she had trained as a military officer before joining the colony mission. She looked at the tactical display and smiled. Captain, permission to respond? Daesung nodded. Show them what we learned out there. Nari's fingers danced across the controls. The Wandering Star's hull rippled as panels slid open, revealing weapon systems that looked nothing like Imperial technology. Progenitor weapons, ancient, but still deadly. Admiral, Nari said calmly, you have 3 seconds to power down your weapons. Vexter laughed. You're outnumbered 30-1. 2 seconds. I'm done playing games with you humans. 1 second. The wandering star moved faster than any Imperial ship could track. Beams of blue energy shot out, not to destroy but to disable. In exactly 12 seconds, every Imperial warship went dark. Their engines died. Their weapons powered down. The crews were unharmed, but their ships were now floating in space like dead metal. Vexter stared at his darkened controls in shock. "What did you do?" "Progenitor electromagnetic pulse technology," Nari explained. "Modified to target specific ship systems without harming organic life. Your crews are fine. Your ships will recover in about 6 hours. But now you understand. We didn't come back to start a war. We came back to end the lies." On Nexus Prime, Jae-sung faced the hardest decision of his life. He stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship, where he served as a lieutenant. His father, Governor Sangwoo, was now branded a traitor. His own loyalty was being questioned. The captain ordered him to prepare weapons to bombard the human district. Ji-sung looked at the targeting display. He saw the homes, the schools, the hospitals. Thousands of innocent people who only wanted the truth. "Sir, I can't follow that order," he said quietly. The captain turned, fury in his eyes. "What did you say?" "I said I can't do it." Jae-sung's hand moved to his sidearm. Around the bridge, other human crew members did the same. And neither will anyone else on this ship who has a conscience. The mutiny was swift and almost bloodless. Within minutes, Jae-sung controlled the flagship. He sent a message to his father. "I'm with you now. All of us are." Dr. Hae-won appeared in another galaxy-wide broadcast that evening. Her face was calm, but her words carried weight. "The Empire has called us traitors and liars. They say we're trying to destabilize the peace. But I ask you all, what kind of peace is built on deception? What kind of civilization hoards knowledge that could benefit everyone?" She displayed a holographic map. "These are progenitor weapons caches. The Empire has known about them for centuries. Devices that could destroy planets. Weapons that make nuclear bombs look like fireworks. The Caltherans kept them secret, kept them hidden, while telling everyone else that such power didn't exist. The revelation sent shockwaves through Imperial space. 3 client species openly declared their independence that night. Others began demanding answers. From their Caltheran overlords, Ji-woos, resistant cell-freed political prisoners. From Imperial detention centers across Nexus Prime. Among them were human leaders who had spoken out against the Empire and disappeared. Now, they returned to cheering crowds. "This is just the beginning," Ji-woo told her followers. "We're not fighting for human dominance. We're fighting for truth, for equality, for every species that's been lied to and controlled." Governor Sangwoo brought his stolen data to Daesung. The 2 men stood in the Wandering Star's command center, reviewing decades of Imperial deception. "They sabotaged our science programs," Sangwoo said, his voice hollow with shock. "Every time humans made a breakthrough in physics or engineering, the Empire classified it as dangerous and locked it away. They kept us dependent on their technology. They did the same to 6 other species," Daesung replied. "The Empire wasn't built on superiority. It was built on suppression." The countdown reached 2 days before the human fleet arrived. Emperor Caltheron appeared in his own broadcast, addressing the chaos sweeping across Imperial space. "The accusations made by the Wandering Star crew are exaggerated and misleading. Yes, the Empire has access to progenitor technology. We kept it restricted because it was dangerous. We protected younger species from powers they weren't ready to wield." Daesung responded immediately. "You protected yourselves. You made sure no one could challenge Caltheran dominance. That's not protection. That's tyranny. You dare call me a tyrant?" The Emperor's voice shook with rage. "I have maintained peace across 47 species for 3 centuries. The peace of a prison is still imprisonment, Daesung said. Give every species access to the progenitor network. Share the technology. Let them choose their own futures. That's real peace. Never. Calthorne stood, his full height towering on screens across the galaxy. Captain Daesung, you have 24 hours to surrender yourself and your crew. If you refuse, I will order the destruction of every human settlement in Imperial space. Your colonies, your cities, everything. The ultimatum hung in the air like poison. Tae-Min watched the broadcast and felt his heart sink. War was coming. Real war. The kind that would kill billions. But Daesung's response surprised everyone. Emperor, before you start a war you can't win, let me share one final truth. The captain's face was calm, but his eyes held steel. The Wandering Star isn't the only ship that went into the void sector. We found the other 4 lost colony ships. They survived too. They colonized worlds. They grew. And I sent them a message through the progenitor network. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. An entire fleet is coming home. 20 ships. Each one carrying thousands of colonists. Each one equipped with progenitor technology. They'll arrive in 36 hours. You can destroy the human settlements here. You can kill millions. But the fleet will still come. And then you'll face a war against an enemy that learned to survive in the harshest conditions imaginable. An enemy that turned nothing into thriving civilizations. Daesung leaned forward, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. Or you could choose peace. Real peace. Where everyone has a chance at the truth. Your move, Emperor. The broadcast ended. Across Imperial space, species watched and waited. Some prepared for war. Others prepared for revolution. But everyone knew the galaxy would never be the same. In the human district of Nexus Prime, Ji-Woo stood on a rooftop with her resistance fighters. They looked up at the stars, searching for signs of the approaching fleet. They're really coming? Someone asked. Ji-Woo nodded. They're coming home. And they're bringing the future with them. The fleet emerged from the void sector like stars being born. 20 ships, each one carrying the dreams of humanity's forgotten children. At the center flew the command vessel Phoenix Rising, and on its bridge stood Admiral Sujin. She was older than Daesung, nearly 60 by normal years, but progenitor technology had kept her strong. She had been his second officer when the colony ships first entered the void, while Daesung took the Wandering Star to explore the progenitor network. Sujin had led the other ships deeper into unknown space. All ships report ready, her tactical officer said. Sujin nodded. Open a channel to the Wandering Star. Daesung's face appeared on her screen, and both of them smiled. It had been a century since they last saw each other in person. Sujin, you made it. Did you doubt me? She glanced at her displays. I brought 20 ships and 200,000 colonists. Plus a few surprises. Surprises? You'll see. Sujin's expression grew serious. What's the situation? Tense. The Emperor gave us an ultimatum. Surrender or watch human settlements burn. That's not going to happen. Sujin switched her display to show images of the fleet. Every ship is equipped with progenitor defensive shields. Every ship has weapons that can match Imperial firepower. But more importantly, we brought proof of what humanity accomplished in the void. She sent data files to Daesung. He reviewed them quickly, his eyes widening. 30 colonies? Thriving colonies? 32 now, Sujin corrected. With a total population of 8 billion humans. We didn't just survive out there, Daesung. We built a civilization. The news spread like lightning across Imperial space. 8 billion humans. Not the few million the Empire claimed existed. An entire hidden civilization that had grown in the darkness beyond known space. On the Phoenix Rising, Yuna worked at her navigation station. She was young, only 25, but her mind processed progenitor language and mathematics like few others could. She had deciphered the ancient network codes, making it possible for human ships to travel vast distances in days instead of years. Admiral, I'm detecting movement in the progenitor network. Someone else is using it. Sujin leaned over her console. The Empire? No. The signature is different. Multiple species. I think word got out about the network, and now everyone wants access. Sujin smiled grimly. Good. The Empire can't keep secrets anymore. Emperor Caltharon sat in his throne room, surrounded by advisors who all shouted different recommendations. Attack the human fleet. Negotiate. Retreat. Form alliances with other species. Each option seemed worse than the last. Silence. The Emperor's voice echoed through the chamber. I need to think. Admiral Vexter stepped forward. Your Majesty, we must act now. The human fleet grows stronger every hour. Other species are questioning our authority. If we show weakness, the Empire will fracture. And if we show aggression? The Emperor challenged. If we attack these humans and fail, we prove we're not as powerful as we claimed. A younger advisor spoke up. Perhaps we should negotiate. Give them limited access to the progenitor network in exchange for their loyalty. Caltharon shook his head. Once we open that door, we can't close it. Every species will demand the same treatment. Then maybe that's what should happen, a quiet voice said. Everyone turned. Minister Ralkesh, oldest of the Emperor's advisors, stepped forward. He was ancient even by Caltharon's standards, and his wisdom was respected across the Empire. Your Majesty, we built this empire on lies. We told ourselves it was for the greater good, to maintain order, to prevent chaos. But look at us now. We're on the edge of civil war because we couldn't share what we found. You suggest we surrender? Vexter demanded. I suggest we evolve, Ralkesh replied. The humans aren't our enemies. They're showing us a different path. One where knowledge is shared, not hoarded. Before the Emperor could respond, alarms blared throughout the palace. An aide rushed in, his face pale with fear. Your Majesty, there's been an attack. Imperial generals have launched a coup. They're bombing the human district on Nexus Prime. Chaos erupted. The hardline military faction had decided to act without the Emperor's permission. Warships loyal to the generals opened fire on civilian targets, determined to crush human resistance before the fleet could intervene. Ji Woo saw the missiles coming. She barely had time to shout a warning before the first explosion rocked the district. Buildings collapsed. Fires erupted. People screamed and ran for cover. But then something incredible happened. Energy shields materialized over the human district. Blue fields of light absorbed the missile impacts, protecting the people below. Jae-sung's voice came over the communication channels. All ships loyal to humanity, engage defensive positions. Protect civilian areas. The Imperial Navy was splitting. Ships commanded by humans or sympathetic aliens broke formation and moved to defend the cities. Those loyal to the coup generals pressed their attack. Commander Nari launched the Wandering Star into the fray. All fleet ships, this is actual combat. I repeat, actual combat. Rules of engagement. Disable, don't destroy. We're not here to kill. We're here to save lives. The space battle was like nothing the galaxy had seen in centuries. Progenitor weapons faced Imperial firepower. But the human ships had an advantage: speed. They moved through space using technology that made them nearly impossible to track. Admiral Sujin coordinated the defense from the Phoenix Rising. Her tactical displays showed the entire battle across Nexus Prime's orbit. Yuna, can you access the Imperial targeting systems? The young navigator's fingers flew across her controls. The progenitor network connects to everything, even imperial military networks. Give me 30 seconds. She worked with focused intensity. Then she smiled. Got it. Sending override codes now. Across the battle space, coup warships suddenly found their weapons refusing to fire on civilian targets. Their computers rejected targeting data for population centers. The general ships could still fight other military vessels, but they couldn't bombard cities. On the ground, Emperor Caltheron made a decision that would define his legacy. He contacted Jae-sung directly. Commander, I need your help. Generals loyal to me are under attack at the military headquarters. If we don't stop this coup, the hardliners will take control of the empire. Jae-sung looked at his tactical display. The emperor was right. If the coup succeeded, there would be no chance for peace. Dad, he called to Governor Sang-woo, who stood beside him. What do you think? Sang-woo stared at the display for a long moment. I think the emperor is learning what it means to ask for help instead of demand obedience. We should give him that chance. Commander Nari led the combined human and loyalist fleet to defend the imperial palace. The battle was fierce but brief. Progenitor shields protected the defenders, while human weapons disabled attacker after attacker. Within 2 hours, the coup collapsed. The rebel generals surrendered or fled. The empire's civil war ended before it could truly begin. In the aftermath, Emperor Caltheron stood in the ruins of his throne room, damaged by the fighting. Jae-sung and Sujin met him there, along with Governor Sang-woo and representatives from a dozen other species. You saved my empire, the emperor said quietly. No, Jae-sung corrected. We saved lives. Your empire, as it was, is over. What comes next depends on what you choose now. Sujin stepped forward. We have a proposal. Dr. Hae-won spent 300 years studying progenitor technology. She knows how to safely share it. We can create an academy, open to all species, where everyone learns together. And the progenitor network? The emperor asked. Open to everyone, Jae-sung said firmly. No more restrictions. No more control. Species are free to explore, to grow, to choose their own paths. The emperor looked at the gathered representatives. Some looked hopeful. Others looked fearful. All of them looked tired of conflict. You're asking me to give up everything that made the empire powerful. No, Governor Sang-woo said. We're asking you to gain something better. Real cooperation. Real peace. The kind that comes from trust, not fear. Minister Ralkesh placed a hand on the emperor's shoulder. The old ways are dead, Your Majesty. We can cling to them and die too, or we can embrace change and live. Emperor Caltheron stood silent for a long moment. The future of the galaxy balanced on his next words. Finally, he nodded. Then let us begin again. Together. Across imperial space, the announcement went out. The empire, as everyone knew it, would dissolve. In its place would rise a new galactic assembly, where every species had equal voice and equal access to knowledge. The revolution had succeeded. But the real work was just beginning. 6 months after the revolution, Nexus Prime looked different. The walls that separated species had come down. The districts that kept different races apart were opening. Caltheron children played with human children in parks that once had restricted access. The change was slow, sometimes painful, but it was real. Captain Jae-sung stood in the newly formed Galactic Assembly Hall. The building was designed to show equality. No throne, no elevated positions. Just a circular chamber where representatives from 47 species sat as equals. The first session will now begin, announced the assembly's chosen speaker, a member of the Vren species who had once been classified as a lesser race under imperial rule. Governor Sang-woo took his seat as the first human counselor with full voting rights. He looked around the chamber, still amazed by how much had changed. 6 months ago, he was running from Imperial soldiers. Now he helped write the laws that govern the galaxy. The first order of business was the Progenitor Access Treaty. Every species would have rights to study the ancient technology. Every world could connect to the network. No one species could claim ownership of knowledge that belonged to all. The vote was unanimous. Outside the assembly hall, Ji Woo worked with her team to establish the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Former resistance fighters now help document imperial crimes and ensure they never happened again. It wasn't revenge. It was remembrance. We need to interview more people who suffered under the old system, she told her staff. Their stories matter. Without them, future generations might forget how bad things were. A young Caltheran intern raised his hand nervously. Ms. Gay Wu, may I ask a question? Of course. Why do you help us? My people oppressed yours. Yet you work to build bridges instead of walls. Ji Woo smiled gently. Because hatred is easy. Building something better is hard. I choose hard. Admiral Su Jin took command of the Joint Exploration Fleet, a massive project combining ships and crews from multiple species. Their mission was to map the progenitor network completely and find other ancient sites. On the bridge of the Phoenix Rising, she studied reports from survey teams. Yuna, how many new systems have we charted this month? The young navigator checked her displays. 47 habitable systems. 15 with signs of ancient progenitor activity. Good. Keep searching. The network is vast, and we've barely scratched the surface. Yuna hesitated. Admiral, I've been meaning to ask. Why did the progenitors leave? They built all this, then vanished. Why? That's the mystery we're trying to solve, Sujin replied. Maybe they died out. Maybe they left to find something greater. Or maybe they're still watching us. Commander Nari found her calling creating the peacekeeping force. She trained soldiers from every species to work together, protecting colonies and settlements across the galaxy. The force wasn't an army. It was a shield, defending those who couldn't defend themselves. Remember, she told her trainees, power without restraint is tyranny. We carry weapons, but our real strength is knowing when not to use them. Among her best students was a young Caltheran officer who approached her after training one day. Commander, my grandfather was Admiral Vexter. He died in shame after the coup attempt. I want to restore honor to my family by serving the peace he once tried to break. Nari studied the young alien. What's your name? Kevron, Commander. Kevron, honor isn't about your family name. It's about your actions. Serve well, and you'll have nothing to be ashamed of. Jae soon worked alongside Nari, helping build the new defense force. He had reconciled with his father, though the relationship remained complicated. Some wounds took time to heal. Dad wants me to join the assembly as his aide, he told Nari during a break in training. Will you? I don't know. Politics isn't really my style. Nari smiled. You led a mutiny that saved an empire. I think you're better at politics than you realize. Taemin became the chief negotiator for interspecies relations. His unique position, having served both the old empire and the new assembly, made him perfect for resolving disputes. He traveled constantly, settling disagreements between colonies, negotiating trade agreements, and helping species adjust to the new reality of equality. It's exhausting, he told Daesung during one of their meetings. But it's good work. Important work. You've come a long way from that nervous young diplomat who first boarded the Wandering Star. Daesung observed. We all have, Taemin replied. Dr. Haewon established the Progenitor Academy on a neutral world. Students from every species came to learn about the ancient technology. The curriculum was open to all, free of charge. Funded by resources shared across the assembly, She stood before her first class, looking at the diverse faces, humans, Calthrans, Wren, dozens of other species, all learning together. The progenitors left us gifts, she began. Technology, knowledge, opportunities. But the greatest gift they gave us is the chance to prove we're worthy of it. Whether we succeed or fail depends on whether we can work together. 1 year after the revolution, Captain Daesoon finally retired. He was tired. 300 years of exploration, even with stasis, had worn him down. He wanted peace. He wanted a home. Dr. Hay-1 retired with him. They chose a colony world in the Void Sector, one of the 32 human settlements that have flourished in isolation. It was a quiet place, far from politics and conflict. Strange, Daesoon said as they walked through fields of crops grown from earth seeds. I spent centuries searching for answers. Now all I want is simple questions. Like what to have for dinner. One laughed. I think we've earned simple questions. But before they could fully retire, Hyun-woo requested one final meeting. The engineer looked troubled as he arrived at their new home. There's something I need to tell you both. Something we found in the void, but kept secret until the time was right. He activated a holographic display. It showed a massive structure, hidden in a nebula deep in the progenitor network. Inside that structure was a stasis pod, and inside that pod was a progenitor. Still alive, still sleeping. Daesoon felt his breath catch. You found one? An actual progenitor? We did. The structure contained a message. A warning. Hyun-woo's voice was grave. The progenitors didn't die out. They left. They went to find other galaxies, other civilizations. But before they left, they created a test. What kind of test? Anyone asked. They left their technology behind to see what we would do with it. Would we use it to dominate? To destroy? Or would we use it to unite? To build? Hyun-woo paused. They're watching us. They've always been watching. And depending on what we do in the next few centuries, they'll decide whether to return and share even greater knowledge, or to remove the network entirely and let us develop our own. The revelation was staggering. Everything they had fought for, everything they had built, was being evaluated by beings far more advanced than they could imagine. Does the assembly know? Daesoon asked. Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. You should be the ones to decide when to reveal it. Daesoon looked at Hay-1. She nodded slowly. We tell them. All of them. The whole galaxy deserves to know they're being tested. But carefully, Hay-1 added. Some species might panic. Others might try to impress the progenitors through grand gestures. We need to help everyone understand that the test isn't about being perfect. It's about being better. 2 years after the revolution, the Galactic Assembly gathered for a special session. Daesoon stood before them one last time, older now, ready to share the final secret. 200 years ago, humanity sent colony ships into the unknown. We were searching for new homes. What we found was far greater. We found proof that we're not alone. That beings more advanced than we can imagine are watching us, judging us. He told them about the progenitor and stasis, about the test, about the choice facing every species. We can compete, Daesoon said. Try to outdo each other. Prove we're the best, the strongest, the smartest. Or we can cooperate. Build together. Show that intelligence isn't about domination, but about unity. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Governor Sang-woo stood. I vote we work together. One by one, every representative stood. Human, Calthran, Wren, all 47 species. United in their choice. Emperor Caltharan. Now just Citizen Caltharan, since his abdication, stood last. The old empire tried to control the galaxy through fear. Perhaps this new assembly can lead it through hope. Admiral Su Jin launched the Progenitor Contact Initiative. The sleeping progenitor would remain undisturbed, but the galaxy would work together to prove itself worthy of first contact. Ji Woo expanded her commission to include not just truth about the past, but hope for the future. She documented every story of cooperation, every example of species working together to solve problems. And her team of scientists from multiple species worked to decode more progenitor messages, learning as much as they could about the ancient race. Commander Nari's peacekeeping force protected exploration teams and settled disputes peacefully, showing that strength could serve justice instead of oppression. 5 years after the revolution, Daesung and Hae-won stood in their garden, watching the sunset. News reached them daily about progress across the galaxy. New colonies, new discoveries, new friendships between species that once hated each other. Do you think we'll pass